Hi, I'm Rob Baker from the Tragically Hip, and today I'm going to give you a little tutorial history of the song New Orleans is Sinking. Sometime in the late 80s, maybe 87, 86, we had a rehearsal space in the west end of Kingston in an old abandoned meat locker. When we weren't playing gigs, we were jamming. And one night we were jamming the song Shakin' All Over, which we never really played on stage as a band, but we were jamming that tune. When you play a song for 20 minutes, it transforms into something entirely different. It morphed into something, and then Gord started singing lyrics. The song kind of wrote itself. New Orleans is Sinking. One of the things about a song like New Orleans is Sinking, it's a very basic kind of a blues-oriented song. It was constantly evolving. So to play it exactly, I don't think I could play it exactly the way I played it on the record. It was never the same twice. And when we played it live, there were areas that would stretch out. It's a very elastic kind of song that way. We thrived on those songs because they allowed Gord to do whatever Gord wanted to do, and it allowed us to transform things. New songs were often born out of jamming songs like New Orleans is Sinking. These songs, they're living, breathing things. Lyrically, the song New Orleans is Sinking was inspired by a trip, a college trip Gord Downey took with some buddies down to New Orleans. Even back then, he had a little notebook in his breast pocket, and he would just write down ideas and snippets of conversation, road signs, anything that was fascinating to him. It was written in a meat locker in Kingston, and it was recorded in Memphis. Pretty much a live song. We were a live band. Certainly at that point in our career, we played live on stage all the time, and we were much more comfortable doing that than we were in the studio. For a song like New Orleans is Sinking, I don't think we probably had to do that many takes. I'm guessing 15 or 20 takes. Those first few records were very much about writing the songs and playing them live, and if they went over well live, then you took them into the studio. We were young and we weren't afraid, and there weren't huge expectations about the band, so you could do whatever you wanted to do. We'd just take anything out and try it, and if it was going over, and for us, going over meant that people got up and danced. People would say, don't you get bored of playing the same song? But as I mentioned, it was one of those songs that's kind of a living, breathing thing, and it was never really the same twice, and you didn't know what to expect. At the time, I was drawing a lot of riffs from Hubert Sumlin, Howlin' Wolf's guitar player. We were jamming Shakin' All Over, and I think if you listen to the two songs, you can hear the similarity. They're not the same song, not by a long shot. So that was a little bit about New Orleans is Sinking. Now I'll show you how I play it. So let's get things started with New Orleans is Sinking. I'm using my early 70s Stratocaster that my folks got me when I was 13. If you know anything about the Hip, you're familiar with this guitar from the first few albums. Every show I played it. I'm playing through a Mesa Boogie amp, which is out in the hallway. And all I've got here is a tuner at my feet and a tube screamer, because I don't think I ever played a gig without a tube screamer. That's just essential gear for me. The other stuff is all great, flangers and phasers and fuzz pedals and reverb units, but I gotta have a tube screamer. So I'm in standard tuning, and it's in E, and as I mentioned before, it's all E pentatonic minor, the blues scale. Basic scales. see why E is a favorite for blues players? And then you throw in those extra notes. And I mentioned the Hubert Sumlin thing. Which that was a riff straight out of Hubert Sumlin, which became All Canadian Surf Club off the Baby record, the EP. It's not that far a leap to New Orleans is sinking. So I mentioned before, I don't want to get us sued, and I don't think there's a suit here, but we were jamming to Shakin' All Over, which is... So we were jamming. The song transforms over the course of 20 minutes of just kicking out ideas and playing nonstop. And Paul came up with and that's Paul's basic lick. And it's really just the blues scale. Over top of it, I started doing my lick, which it's all pull-offs. But I would mute, palm mute, and I'd kind of mute with my my right hand, but also a little bit with my left hand. So I'm just kind of like, almost like chicken picking them. And then when a verse would end and there'd be a break in between where there weren't vocals, I would open it up. But whenever there's singing going on, I would tend to mute. So that's Paul. You can do it 4 times. And it's all just very simple blues licks. And once the verse starts, it's blues on the street. I'm just playing little fills in between whatever Gord sings. The Dixie Dead Shake. When he goes to the A. But I'd sometimes double up what Paul was doing just for a little emphasis. And then my memory is muddy. What's this river that I'm in? And muted. Because Gord's singing right there. So my memory is muddy. What's this river that I'm in? New Orleans is sinking, man, and I don't want to swim. And then I would open it up. I might even kick the tube screamer on. And I never played it exactly the same way twice. I just kind of feel my way through it. And you just familiarize yourself with these shapes. And why I said the E blues scale is such a good one. You know, you get that double note, which I use. But you also get these. And up here you get the... it's perfect for all these pull-offs. And you can do it up here as well, the main riff. You know, sky's the limit, but just know your blues scale in all these positions. So, and then you get all the grindy bends. I think in the second verse, you're north, you're south, you're north, you're south, shut your big mouth. I'm just trying to illustrate musically a little bit around the lyric. But again, it's all just jamming off the blues scale. There's nothing fancy. Just know your blues scales. And at the end, when we get into the soloing, the basic was just the same riff. You can just hear I'm hitting that high E. Sometimes usually I bend into it. Sometimes I hit it clean. Swim. I don't know. That's kind of all there is to it. It's all just E blues riffing. There's a funny one for me. It's been 10 years since we played our last show, and I haven't played New Orleans is Sinking really in 10 years. And in the last 15, 20 years, I've almost never used a guitar pick. I just stopped using them somewhere along the way, maybe halfway through the Hips run. Everything I did originally on the first several albums was all with a pick. And then somewhere along the way, I just decided I don't need it. And I ended up getting fake nails just to strengthen them, because I was always ripping nails even with a pick. So I got a fake nail originally on one finger. And I was like, hey, that's as strong as a pick. And then I got them all done, and now it's... So it's your choice. It's probably a tune with as much single note line as this one has. It's probably easier with a pick. So I'd recommend that's a good place to start or go for it. Something like that. Well, that's New Orleans is Sinking, or to the best of my recollection. As I said, it's a simple little blues scale number, so have fun with it and just experiment. Try out different licks and make it your own. Enjoy. So some of you have questions about the songs and other things, so we're going to take a couple of questions. First up, D. Salazarb 02. Which artist or artists would you say had the most influence on your playing? As I mentioned with New Orleans is Sinking, I was stealing a lot of blues licks from Hubert Sumlin and other blues players. Mick Taylor and Keith Richards, that guitar pairing was huge for me. I was really drawn to Mick Taylor's fluid, lyrical style, and for lead playing. But I also loved Keith's chunky style, which is all about writing songs. Another question from Better Call LLP. How do you get that twang on New Orleans is Sinking? Well, I was always kind of a Strat guy. In fact, New Orleans is Sinking was played on the Strat that my parents got me for my 13th birthday. And I played it at every gig the Hip ever played. I played that guitar. I was always drawn to more clean sounds on the guitar. I know a lot of people get an electric guitar and the first thing they do is dial up the gain or the distortion, or they get a fuzz pedal. I always liked clean sounds, and I'd kick on a tube screamer for a solo maybe, but and I also always played in the bridge position. I don't think in the studio I might switch my pickups to the neck position or even the middle position, and as the years went on I started to use those more. But the first 5 years of the band, I never switched my pickup. I was always on the bridge position on my Strat, and that'll give you a twang. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you got something from that, a little history of the song New Orleans is Sinking and a little tutorial. Good luck with it.